Hello everyone, welcome to the eMTB show. I'm Gary, this is James.
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Good, thank you.
Good.
Season 3, episode 3. Spooky.
Yeah, it's coming around fast. So what are we talking about today?
I have no idea.
No, I don't either. What is this show about?
Apple products.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. That's what most people on YouTube are talking about these days.
So today is obviously the September launch of the new Apple products, so the new iPhone and things like that. But also the Apple Watch Series 7 is so confusing. Series 7.
Yeah.
With
Can I just interrupt and just let you know that all our mountain biking fans have just exited the building?
Yeah, Samsung do have an equivalent product. It's just crap. So the WatchOS 8, which is the latest software, which I think comes out on the 20th of this month, has some bike stuff built into it, which we can talk about.
Yep.
Skills improvement.
Yep, that's always a good thing.
It didn't involve plasters, so it's good.
Well, for you mainly. But,
yeah, you needed plasters.
I needed,
and that was no skills improvement, but anyway. Talk about Yeti's first eMTB.
Yeah, certainly race-specific one.
It's nice and cheap.
Yeah.
Renewing your love of riding in places that are close to your home rather than thinking there's nothing else out there and you're a bit bored with it. And finally, probably travel plan update.
Yeah.
Based on what's going on with COVID, which we've obviously got no idea anything about.
Yeah. So let's go back to Apple, since we don't have any mountain bike fans listening in or watching anymore. Let's talk about the Apple Watch. So I'm a big fan of the Apple Watch, even though it's not the most robust piece of kit that you can wear while you're mountain biking. And if I do forget my GPS, it's the next thing that I press the button on. But what's new on it now?
So the new hardware, I don't think has any more sensors, but it's a lot more hard wearing. So it's now dust resistant and water resistant and things like that.
That will help.
That will help. But the new software, it detects when you're on a bike and says, do you want to start a workout? Which is good. Yeah. Hopefully it's more reliable. Weirdly, when I wear mine, I go down the stairs and it says, congratulations.
Do you want to have a lie down?
Yeah. So it detects when you're going out on a bike ride. It detects automatically when you stop and when you start again. So it only counts and calculates based on when you're actually riding. Yeah. It obviously has the fall detection, quite useful when you come off. And says, are you okay? And then phones for the ambulance. And it also has an e-bike specific profile so that it discounts the number of calories that it thinks you've burned. Or it gives you a calorie count that's a bit more specific to e-bike riding, apparently.
So some developers basically said, right, instead of 200 calories, it's 5.
Yeah, it's really depressing, isn't it, when you're like riding for 3 hours and it says you burnt 1,200 calories.
Yeah.
And then you're like, yeah, that was less than what I ate while I was riding. But actually, we should talk about that as well, about water intake or fluid intake. We'll add that to the list.
Yeah.
We can talk about that afterwards, because I think that's interesting.
Okay.
And
cool.
alarming.
So yeah, interesting update for the Apple Watch. That's going to be interesting to see how that works. It does. It sounds like they're just advancing what they've done already, because if you go for a walk, it'll say, "Oh, you're doing a walk. Do you want me to record it?" Which is pretty cool. And obviously, if you go upstairs, it says, "Do you want to lie down?"
Yeah, it does.
Skills improvement. Where are we going with this one?
Well, I don't know where we're going with it. So I wanted to improve basic skills to give me a bit more. I think where it started is I discovered that the grips on my mountain bike are being eroded and are the exact same shape of my fingers when they dig in. Because when we get somewhere that I'm not familiar with, or there's a massive drop down the left-hand side, I tend to get off, put my feet out, legs down, drop the saddle and sit as low as possible and start chanting. No, I tend to just get anxious, I think, about it.
Yeah.
And that's just lack of confidence in those areas. So we went out on Sunday and you were like, right, let's do some skills improvement. bring a first aid kit. I forgot the first aid kit, but I didn't need it.
No, which was good. Yeah, that was karma, actually.
Yeah, and actually, I think the initial fear of it was worse than it is. I'm sure with lots of these things, and it was just a shallow, gentle drop.
I mean, it was a one field to another with what is basically a dry stone wall that's eroded away, so you can drop down it.
Yeah.
And it was just about finding the right position on the bike, being out the saddle.
Yeah, that made a huge difference.
Having some momentum, because if you've not got any momentum, that's when you're going to stop and fall off, or it's going to be unstable. And as I've now coined the phrase, do it in a wanna.
In a wanna.
Because if you just go for it and you don't try and slow down too much, you just approach it with the right amount of speed.
I think the main things for me were being out the saddle makes a huge difference because you've got so much more manoeuvrability of the bike.
Yeah.
And also, I worry because I'm not slim that I'm not going to be able to get far enough back, and actually my weight is just going to topple me over forward. But it didn't seem to. It seemed to be good. So I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Would like to do more just off that one. Scared about doing anything else. Just that one would be perfect.
What I've got to find now is a double height dry stone wall for you to go over.
In a wanna.
In a wanna. But no, it did well, and it does definitely come down to if you're out the saddle, you can move the bike around underneath you. If you're using a bit more momentum, you're going to just flow over it quicker. You're not going to stop and jut it down, whatever it is. So, yeah, I think you did really well. Myself, on the other hand, karma definitely came true, and I did a bear claw pedal into the back of my thigh, which makes it look like I'd been attacked by a bear. And
I remember ripping my trousers as well now. You do look like you've been attacked by a bear.
Yeah, and I thought I was going to have a blood loss problem on the way around on that ride, but it is what it is. It reminds me of the old BMX days with what were called bear claw pedals.
They are great, and actually we should add to this thing your new shoes.
Yes.
I'll add that in. Gary's new shoes. They are great. Those pedals, whatever they're with the spiky things, but they do
bite. Definitely.
Yeah, they do bite. As I discovered when I was carrying mine up an area where you said I don't remember there being many steps, and there were many steps, and the pedal went straight through my supposed to be Kevlar trousers.
Yeah.
Which was pretty unfortunate, but that could have got worse and embarrassing had the tear run, but luckily it hasn't.
Yeah, and we'll come back to it actually, but the whole finding new places to ride thing will go back onto the subject of, I can't remember this amount of steps last time.
Yeah, I certainly remember now.
Which is quite
But actually, it was easier the second time for some reason.
Yeah, it wasn't so much of a shock.
No, I think it was where you turn the hill and there's like another 30.
Yeah.
Why don't we talk about that new places to ride now? Because it's kind of a natural flow.
So we've said it a few times, haven't we? Although Jersey is fantastic and it's all very accessible, and you can be out and doing a ride that's coastal and then in woods and on cliff paths or whatever, it can get a bit samey after a while. And I think we've been suffering from that for a bit, haven't we, with some of the stuff we've been doing.
Yeah.
So we did a ride that I used to do many years ago when I first came to Jersey. Or certainly part of it, which is very different from what you normally do. And you even said at the time, this is fantastic. It's a lot more inspirational from a new scenery, and new trail, new type of riding, because it's quite diverse, the landscape in Jersey. Some parts of it are rocky and gravelly, and some parts of it are just, it's almost like woodland but with sand covered flooring, isn't it? It's different. It's really different. So it's good.
And they seem to be opening up more of it. There seems to be more of this mixed use trail. Yeah,
there's a lot of signs around saying now mixed use trail trials in this area. So when you do come across somebody that wants to have a go at you and you don't have to say bonjour and pretend you're French, you can just say we're all allowed to be here at the same time. Obviously, you've just got to be careful and not ride it flat out all the time, but I think it's good. And it's a corner of our island that's I think we'll use more, definitely.
Yeah, it does put. I mean, from home there and back and exploring is kind of high 20s in terms of miles.
Yeah,
and I think I did start to get range anxiety, but weirdly, still had 2 or 3 bars when I came back.
Yeah.
For a bike that normally has a range of about 32, 33 miles. I think that Sunday was about 27 miles, 28 miles.
Bad. So you're obviously not spending so much time in turbo then?
No, I actually started using Eco as well, which I was quite impressed about.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I was quite proud of that. But I don't know that whole area, or just finding new places close, I don't know, it just seemed really expansive. There's loads of bits, there's loads of rides over here. I mean, the island's only 9x5, but there's loads of rides that are great, but they're very short, whereas that actually seems like a big, wide open space that you can kind of go and explore and find different routes and different paths. It was great, actually.
Yeah, and that ride, I think we'll have to put a Strava screenshot in the show notes, or link to the Strava show notes. It's multiple bays, so you're going from one to another, and then obviously the headland above has got hundreds of different routes and options available, so it's pretty cool. I really enjoy it. Yeah,
no, it's very good. It's very good.
There's a fair bit of hiker bike though, which was the reason why I got a bear claw in the back of my leg, which brings me on to something I want to talk about, and I don't know if I'm the only person with the Specialized that has the problem. Walk assist.
Oh yeah.
So I get lots of problems with walk assist every time whenever I use it, it's hit and miss if it's going to work at all. But if it does work, I'll get 4 or 5 rotations of the pedals, and then I get effectively the motor crashes, and it gets the red light of doom. My GPS obviously loses connection to it at that point, so the whole system has to be rebooted. Happens every time now, and it's consistently happens every time. You don't have any of those sort of problems on the Bosch system, do you?
No.
Does it? And you get your walker aid thing works fine. It doesn't ever.
Yeah, no. Once you figure out that you need to press the walk button, and then you need to hold the plus button down to keep it going. Otherwise, the walk turns off.
Oh, okay.
It's fine. That is a bit of a pain, though.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's not something you're going to be doing just as you're walking on the pavement. You're normally halfway up a side.
Yeah, exactly, and it's difficult to hold and press the button at the same time.
Yeah.
But no, I don't have an issue with it. But yours is literally every time you do it.
Every time I do it, it crashes. So it's something I need to look into. I'm going to have a search on the forums and see if anybody else is having that problem.
Are there any more software updates for yours, or is it now doing them all over the air?
There's supposed to be one to make the over-the-air thing happen. I haven't seen any notification of it yet, though. However, at the weekend, after this weekend, I tried to connect my... I tried to open the actual Specialized app on my phone, and it's lost connection to the actual motor again. So,
so you've got to take it all out.
So I've got to take the head unit out again and work and get the Bluetooth code and everything, which is a pain in the arse, quite frankly. And it does happen a lot on that. I don't know if anybody else has that problem, but I certainly have that problem quite a lot. But back to the walking piece, it is a real pain. However, when you've got a nice new pair of shoes like I've got, they're really good. So I've just received my 510 Trailcross XTs, which are they're a slightly different, they're a new style from 510, aren't they? They look a bit more like a lightweight walking boot.
Yeah, they do. But with a liner.
Yeah, so they've got one of those neoprene mid liners that looks like almost like a wetsuit boot. I don't think it's actually that effective because it's not tight enough around your ankle. I don't think it will. Was it good
at soaking up blood?
It did a fantastic job of retaining blood from the blood loss, so I could wring it out later. But as a shoe, they're really good. I think with all mountain bike shoes, though, they're not the most comfortable thing to walk in. Are they?
No, or driving.
But the one thing that these do have, which seems to be different to the ones that you've got, there's a break in the in the sole, so that your foot can actually bend and when you're climbing up stuff.
Yeah, I've got 510 old ones, but then there's no flex in them.
Yeah. So they're really interesting. They're really good, actually. They're very lightweight. It'll be interesting to see what they're like over the winter, because these mid ones, which I've got, are slightly more focused to the bad weather of the winter.
Right, okay.
So we'll see how they go. I'll stick a link to them on the
show notes. They are amazing, though, because everyone's like, oh, why do you need those? You could just wear this or wear that. But those little round things that look like you've got no grip at all.
Yeah.
with the studs on the pedals.
So
They are amazing.
I'm having a bit of an issue with that at the moment because I'm used to being able to move my feet around, even with the pedals that I've got with the studs which look like 6-inch nails sticking out of them. Trying to reposition my feet when I'm doing certain things with these on, it's like trying to unglue my foot from the pedal.
Yeah.
I think I'll have to get used to what I might have to do is winding those pegs a bit just to try and calm it down a bit. But the grip off them is absolutely amazing considering they just look like little, pennies on the bottom.
Yeah, they're very cool though.
So
I wonder whether the spikes actually go between the little penny. I don't know,
but they're fantastic. I'm really impressed with them. So
how much were they?
85, so, which is a lot of money. I don't quite understand why. I think I didn't pay full price for them. I think they were discounted because there's a new colourway out or something. But
they're very good though. Yeah, they are very good. Well worth it.
I have seen them for over 100, but I would struggle at paying over 100 for them. But they are very good. I think at the moment I feel like I definitely recommend them. So we'll
did
see.
You buy a pair?
No, I just bought the one.
Right. Okay.
I'm saving up for it.
It's
£85 each.
You chose your primary foot.
Yeah.
The foot that you always push down on. Yeah. Do you, when you get on your bike, right? Do you always get on from the same side?
Yes.
Why is that? I'm not saying you're any different, but I've noticed I struggle to get on.
When you get in your car, you're always getting in the same side.
Yeah, but that's a very good reason for that. I haven't always got in the same side, but if I want to go anywhere, it's easier to get in the side with the round wheel.
Yeah, I do. I don't know why. I just do.
It's weird though, isn't it?
Yeah.
I can't get on from the left-hand side, but right-hand side, fine. It's very peculiar.
Yeah.
Bike updates.
Okay.
What's new in the world of bikes?
There's lots.
There's nothing new that I'm interested in that's been announced, which is annoying me.
Yeah, I think there's lots of it. I mean, we've talked about the Eurobike a few times, and I think now it's all overall. All the news is settling out, and all the information is getting a bit more easy to digest. I think the biggest takeaway I've seen is it's all about motors getting smaller and more integrated to the point where you can hardly see them, and batteries getting bigger.
Yeah.
And everybody seems to be doing the same thing. And they're all getting more and more expensive. Example here, Yeti's got its first race specific is what they're saying it is.
Their first eMTB is what. Yeah.
And it's got an EP8, 630 watt battery, 29 front and back. It's got a type of flip chip system on the rear shock. They're going on about their rear shock system, the suspension system quite a lot. But it starts at €9,000.
9,000 to 11,000 euros.
11,000 euros. That's
a lot of money.
A lot of money. I think you can get a family car for that sort of price if you try hard enough. So, yeah, I know that obviously they're very popular and there's a huge market for them now, but the prices just seem to be going up and up and up.
Because I always thought that, I can't remember how much my Matera Neo was. I think it was just under 4,000. But I did buy it around now actually, so around September. So it probably was an end of year one that was being cleared out. But
what's the new one?
I don't know how much the new one is. I'm not dared to ask yet. I'm expecting it to be
11,000 euros.
About 6.
Yeah, I think
it's about 7 and a bit thousand euros.
I think the upper mid range Levo is about 6 now, isn't it?
It's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money. It will make me ever getting another one very difficult to justify.
But after the kidney removal surgery, you'd be fine to go out on the new one once you've sold it.
Yeah. It depends how much I can get from a kidney.
It is a lot of money.
Yeah.
But worth it?
At
what value, at what point is it not worth it?
So, if you didn't own a bike and you were going to go out and buy a bike to go out on the weekends, maybe commute to work, maybe just go away on holiday and take it with you, and you hadn't had one for 20 years since you were a kid, and you went to the shop and said, "Oh yes, sir, that bike there, that's £7,000. you might turn around and walk back out again. So if you take it on the face of, I'm going to go out and buy a bike so I can go out for a ride, not a lot of people go into a bike shop with the intention of spending up to £7,000 on a push bike.
No.
So I think the market now is very much focused on enthusiasts, and everything else that's under.
But something's got to get you started, hasn't it? Someone's got to.
But not everybody, and this is not an elitist thing. Not everybody's going to go into a shop and spend $5,000 on a push bike.
No, absolutely.
You know, 3-4 years ago, even a roadie in the full Lycra gear wouldn't go and spend £5,000 on their first road bike. So I think the enthusiast area is now obviously huge, and it's very popular, and there's lots of marketing and investment in making that justify itself. But they'll start becoming I'm hoping that as the technology gets more advanced, the cheaper end of the market starts to benefit from it. But the stuff that you can get for $2,000 is probably even get worse in quality, and have a negative impact on them on the people's view of them. Or it's going to you'd like to hope that it will benefit from the technology trickling down.
Which is kind of how cars work.
Which is kind of how cars work. Everybody's got like reverse parking sensors now that Mercedes put on 10 years ago and charged thousands. But I think certainly the area we're sitting in, which is what, you know, we're enthusiasts. This is why we have a podcast and a YouTube channel, and we're out on every weekend. But it's getting crazy now, the money that they want out of you for a decent bike.
It's just £11,000.
We
were talking about the price of a Fiesta the other day, which was what, £27,000.
Yeah.
But that used to be 11,000.
Yeah.
Well, mind you, I remember when a packet of crisps was 7.5p. So
P, or what was the?
I don't remember. I'm not old enough for pounds, shilling, and pence. But I do remember half p's. Sadly, whenever they dropped off. Yeah. I don't know.
So some really cool stuff. There's some really clever technology out there. I think there's a new Yamaha. I think it's not that one, but there's a couple of new bikes with new Yamaha motor on it, and you could hardly see it.
Yeah.
It's so small and so lightweight, which is amazing. And when you look at my bike, you go, yeah, that's clearly an e-bike, because it's got what looks like an abscess hanging off the bottom of its bottom bracket.
Yeah.
But some of the new stuff's incredible, and it has more power and it has more range and it's lighter, so it is really clever stuff. But I just think the significant increase in cost is also a little bit annoying.
Yeah. I don't. If I would have ever got into it if it had been £11,000. I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't.
Exactly. Yeah. You would never go into a shop as a newbie and say, "That looks like a bargain. Can I have it in red, please?"
Yeah.
No, that's another £11,000.
Yeah, no, you have to wait for 2026 for them to do that colour. Scott do another bike, which they've just done, which has got a transverse Bosch motor.
Yeah.
So they've tried to kind of put the motor in a different way around to make it look less like a eMTB. It does actually look quite good.
Is that to make it look less like an eMTB, or is that to reduce the undercarriage?
I think it's reduced the undercarriage. And the battery's obviously got very little protection around it. I mean, it's obviously got enough protection.
Yeah.
But it just makes it almost, as you said, not look like an eMTB at all.
Yeah.
Fluid intake.
Yeah, this is a weird one, but go with it.
On my Garmin,
Right.
I can't remember which one it is now, 8:30. Whenever you finish a ride, and it knows it's doing an e-bike ride, I did try and cheat, but people on Strava go, you did that very quickly, when you like win all the achievements.
Yeah.
So it knows that you're an e-bike, and when you finish the ride, so like the other day we did 28 miles out for about 3.5 hours, probably 3 hours riding.
Yeah.
And it said, so at the end of it...
And this is on multiple surfaces, it's on all sorts of stuff. It's not just down the road.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
27 miles in 3.5 hours would be pretty poor.
Yeah. So when you press stop, before you confirm the ride and then it uploads it, it asks you two things. And now, for the life of me, can't remember what the top thing is that it's done. Oh, how many calories you've eaten during that ride,
Right.
and how much water you've consumed. So it works out what the level of hydration or the level of liquid that you should have consumed based on the workout that you've just done.
Yeah.
So that ride, it was saying I should have had 4.6 bottles of
Gin.
liquid, yeah. And
So-
I had one and a coffee.
Yeah. Is that a new thing, or is that something you've only just really...
Oh no, I just ignore it.
Oh.
But I've only just started to think about it, because actually, I'm probably aren't drinking enough during that ride.
Yeah. Do you think it's worth actually being honest with the system and saying, okay, well, one, you've got to be drinking stuff that's the right thing in the first place. So if you had, like, I don't know, if you had a milkshake, you've got to take into account that it's not water.
Yeah.
If you've got a sport drink, you've got to take into account it's going to have sugars and calories built into it for that specific reason.
Yeah.
But then also, if you had a bacon roll halfway around, you'd have to add that in.
So that you can add that in the calories. And I always drop. So if it says 4.6, I drop it down and say I probably had one.
Right. It's interesting.
But without filling up 4.5 times.
Yeah.
You're never going to drink what you should be drinking, if that is indeed what it's actually telling you.
Yeah, yeah, it is interesting. The whole nutrition thing's, I think it's different for every type of cycling, and running as well. I mean, I used to enjoy running, and they always used to. All the stuff I ever read about nutrition was, after 40 minutes of running, you should be taking on calories, and you should be taking in water.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's almost identical for riding as well. So it's interesting that it's actually flagging that for you.
But how do you rehydrate to that level during a ride without some kind of support van that follows you around?
That might be a little bit excessive. You might as well have just bought an expensive bike instead of buying.
So I'm wondering whether more cafe stops are needed. I wonder if that's what it's telling me.
Yeah.
It's interesting, because then when I get back, I literally just down a whole load of drinks because I'm absolutely gasping.
Yeah.
But I probably should have had that during the...
So I suppose the other way to get around it is to get a hydration pack on your back.
Yeah, but I don't know. It always tastes funny.
No, you're supposed to put water in it.
Oh, right, okay.
It's not a catheter.
I've reused a catheter. Is
Yeah,
that the problem?
cheaper.
Yeah, it's painful to get in. You know, does make you... yeah, anyway. I don't know where I was going with that, but anyway. Yeah, probably not drinking enough. I think that probably is quite important.
Yeah, definitely. I think you maybe need to... The problem with these bikes is that you can only carry one bottle. There's no... You know, like a lot of road bikes will have two. They'll take two with them, and they'll stop and top them up at coffee shops as well.
Yeah, true.
So maybe when you get to a coffee shop, you top them up. I mean, the one thing you do, you usually, because they sport a lot, don't you?
Mm.
Maybe you're better getting sachets.
No, not water.
No,
Oh.
just getting a sachet in the back in your pocket, and just getting water in coffee shops. You know, get a coffee and a bottle of water, and then
Or a funnel and regenerate.
Oh
And
yeah,
just recycle.
yeah, or scrape it off the top of your brow or something.
Yeah, yeah, that would work. Sachets.
Yeah, and then you're
I've got addicted to the taste of Lucozade Sport though.
yeah, it's not really helping you though.
Do feel better once I've drunk it.
Yeah.
That would probably do it.
So here's an example. If we did our trip to Wales and we were up in the Brecon Beacons in the middle of nowhere, what are you going to do then?
Tanker, Lucozade Sport.
I think
Sponsored Tanker.
What, just on key positions around your route?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And or airdrop them, just scatter bomb them all around the route, and then just pick them off the ground.
Right. Yeah.
That's not sensible either, is it?
It's not going to work. You might need to work on your hydration and nutrition plan before we go anywhere.
Right, but the nutrition plan, that worries me as well, because that sounds like healthy. Whereas a bacon roll or something with a hash brown in it would be really nice. But that's probably not a great thing to eat either.
To be honest, I think it's fine for what we're doing. We're not trying to win the Mountain Bike World Cup.
But I want people to think I'm an athlete.
No, let's not go there.
That's maybe one for another episode.
How to convince people you're an athlete.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, most dart players will tell you they're an athlete.
That's a great. I will try that. I'm burning more energy than a darts player
Yes, you are.
or a snooker player.
Mm.
Well,
All
we'll go
athletes.
there. Yes. Travel plan updates.
Yeah. I was just saying not long ago that we really need to get away. We still want to do. I think we still want to do Wales.
Yeah.
We still want to do South Wales because it's the closest for us. I'm trying to put together an itinerary that I'm going to share on notes at some point, and it'll be great to get some feedback on it. But I think we might still struggle with COVID challenges.
I don't know what's going to happen with the winter piece. I was just reading before. Boris has said that we're not going to go back into lockdown, although there may be some controls. It seems to be limited by, it's obviously limited by the amount of people being admitted into hospital, which, because of vaccinations, has come down. I'm hoping it will still happen.
Yeah.
I don't know when it's going to spike again. Obviously, if I knew that, I'd be in the betting shop more often than I am.
Yeah.
But it's got to be kind of October, November.
It's going to be an autumn. It's going to be an autumn trip, and I think we're going to see some interesting weather. So it'll definitely be a testing of riding gear and new shoes challenge.
Yeah. And what equipment we need to take with us.
Yeah. Now I know that you want to use this as an opportunity to buy a lot of park tools.
I like park tool stuff.
I've got my cordless pressure washer that I can use. Use your hydration fluid as washing.
And I
equipment.
could bring my, I don't know where they are now, my rotor covers, my
We need to
muck-off rotor covers.
You need to do a serious review of your muck-off rotor covers and give us your honest opinion.
Okay.
So yeah, we need to do some planning around that and get that out there and get some feedback on it.
Right, I'm now on the Park Tool website. Look how many new products they've got. They've got 6 new bike stands. A double arm repair stand.
Right.
A deluxe double arm repair stand. There's some great stuff here.
It does alarm me how excited you get about repair stands.
What about this master toolkit? Anyway, yeah, we have bought some muck-off stuff. We might talk about that a little. So I brought a pair of rotor covers so that when you're spraying your bike with slimy stuff, it doesn't go on your brake rotors.
Yeah.
They were semi-successful.
Why only semi-successful? Is it a marketing gimmick or are they an honest attempt to do some protection around your brakes?
I'll show you afterwards.
Right.
But they give you a bit of protection around the brake.
Right.
But so basically there's two halves to it.
Yeah.
There's like a hard card side that you just slip up between the rotor and the wheel.
Yeah.
And then a more flexible neoprene front that velcros on around the other side of the rotor. And dependent upon how big your forks are or the brackets or the brake element, whatever that bit of the brake is called. Caliper, thank you. It leaves a gap.
Okay.
And if that gap is large enough and in the right place, it just takes all the overspray if you're not being massively, massively careful.
Okay.
So
they work to a degree, but not 100%.
Yeah, and actually I think on the instructions it says water will get through the neoprene if you continue to do it. I mean, I am imagining that they would fail if you had someone that was standing there with a 6,000 bar pressure washer aiming it at the rotor and go, oh look, water's getting in. I think for general use they're fine. The other thing that I did buy, which I now can't remember what it is at all, is the kind of rear cassette and mechanism cleaner, the yellow liquid from Muck-Off. That was really good.
Yeah.
That is really good, and that worked really well on the chain as well.
Yeah.
Literally spray the chain, spray the rear mech, leave it a minute and wash it off, and it's great.
Yeah.
And watch all the petrol rainbow colours disappear down the drive.
Yeah. And into the water.
Yeah. And that's why there's sickness in the area. No, that's really good.
Yeah. So I want to do, and it'll be a Muck-Off thing, I want to do my valves still on my wheels.
Yeah.
However, I'm suffering with a known pain of having to get those tyres off, get the muck out of the tubeless gunk out the rims, get them all clean. So I'll need some of the rim cleaning stuff. Nothing worse than having a dirty rim. And retape them. I've seen we were talking about it the weekend with this on the walls of my tyres. They're starting to tear.
Have you seen how many tools are in this master toolkit?
Jesus. It's alarming. Take that list to bed with you.
I won't. I'll never get out of bed.
But yeah, I need to do some work on my wheels, and it's put me off because I know that it's going to be a messy job. I also don't have a pump that's good enough for rimless, tubeless tyres.
To get enough in
get
straight
the rim
away.
B to work. So we need to plan that, and I think we have
video.
to film that because it's going to be absolute chaos.
It will be quite funny. Maybe we could try my BAM bottled air magic on it as well.
So James has got some. It is muck off BAM in it.
Yeah.
Which is one of these. It's like it's almost like the emergency kits that you get in cars with no spare wheel.
It is. It just sits on the on your rails, and just velcros on, and it's compressed air mixed with
Tyre
sealant.
Yeah.
And if you get caught out on something, you just blast it, and it's like a single use, like an adrenaline shot for your tyre.
Yeah, I actually want you to use it to see if it actually does anything.
I want to, when I do it, you've got to shout clear. I think it'd be quite good.
But yeah, we're gonna have to demo that, and we'll use the day that I start stripping my wheels down to do the valves as that test, I think. So I've got to do that. That's annoying me because I know it's going to be a messy job. But I do, before I can go anywhere, I need to get the cleaner to actually clean the inside of the rims and tyres.
Yeah.
Apparently they've got to be spotless before you put them back on.
And dry. And
dry.
Yeah.
However, I have to give it a thumbs up to tyre sealant after last weekend.
Yes, absolutely.
So I came home and found my back tyre almost completely flat with what looked like a terrible accident on the floor with tyre sealant everywhere. And it obviously it sealed itself up in the process. I've reinflated the tyre, not fully, but just reinflated the tyre and gave it a spin, and it's been brilliant. We were out on it the weekend, didn't lose any pressure. It is tubeless tyres with the right.
They are
sealant.
the way forward.
They are brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
And we did loads of potential pinch punches on some of the trails.
Yeah, and I smacked a couple of rocks that pushed the back end out, which I'm sure the sidewall would have smacked at that point.
So although they're messy and the maintenance is going to be horrible.
Do you have to take off the rim tape and redo all of that as well?
I don't think you do, but I think so that's a 2019, so it's 2 years.
Yeah.
So I think it's probably a good idea.
Yeah, because you're supposed to put new sealant in like every 12 months. Or something.
Yeah. And as I'm putting new valves in, I might as well do it all properly and sort it all out.
That is worth a video.
That's going to be a video because it's going to be an absolute farce. You'll be laughing your heads off when you see that one, I'm sure.
It will be quite amusing. Yeah, that will be funny. I'll have to watch that. And I think that probably draws us to a close on this episode.
Yeah. We've got some stuff happening in the next couple of weeks that we're just trying to find the right weather to do. So we talk about our bikes quite a lot, and we're going to do a walk around tour of each of our bikes. That'll be on YouTube at some point in the near future, and we'll let everybody know when that's available. But I think it'll just be nice to be able to share with you what we ride, what we've done to them, what we've broken, and the changes and tweaks that were made to them. So at some point soon we'll do bike tours on both bikes, and we'll get those on YouTube.
Yeah, that would be interesting. There's actually quite a lot that's changed, and little bits that we weren't expecting to change have had to be changed. Your bars because you broke them. But
yeah, well, I'd fall off more than you.
I need to get some new grips.
Yes, and I definitely recommend Death Grips. I don't know what everybody else thinks of them, but they are absolutely fantastic.
Right, I will have to have a look at those. If you want to get in touch, then email as always podcast@the emtbshow.com, and Instagram and Twitter both at the eMTB show. I can't think of anything else exciting to talk about this week, so Gary, thank you very much.
Cheers, thank you very much.
Thank you, and we will
see you again.
We'll see you soon.
Bye.